So there's another couple of loop controls that you need to know about. Two other controls. The break statement and the continue statement. And these allow you to control specific time through a loop. So you can jump out of a loop before it's finished using break, or continue, which means just go to the top of the loop again, so jump around to the next time around the loop, ignoring the rest of the statements in the loop. They're not used that often, but they can be really, really useful. Particularly break, I think, is good when if maybe you're searching for something and you found it, you can break out. You don't have to keep searching through the rest of the information, for example. You can use break to get out. So let's have an example. This example just prints out the number of lines required by the user and shows it knows which is which. Okay, let's just run it. So line numbers. It asks me how many lines I want. If I say 3 lines, it prints out this is line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3. And notice, just in this case, I've set the range going from 1 up to n lines plus 1. So it will, if I ask for 3, it'll give the values that range returns is 1, 2, 3. If I ask for 10, the values are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there's 4. So the break statement would be if I wanted to jump out of that loop before it had finished. As I said, this might be used in a search. If you're searching through some data and you find maybe a customer or a character in a game or something like that, once it's located, you don't need to search through the rest of the data. So in this example, notice it's exactly the same as the previous one, except that now we've got this if counter equals 3, break. So as soon as it gets to counter being 3, it will jump out of the loop and the loop execution will terminate. So it won't print out this is line 3, okay? Because it jumps out of the loop when the counter is 3, so it won't get down to this line. So it's only ever going to print out 2 lines, regardless of how many you request. If you request 1, you only get 1. If you request 2, you get 2. But if you request anything more than that, you only get 2 because it breaks. Let's just run that. How many lines? If I say 10, it just prints out 1 and 2. Okay, and obviously this number controls where it jumps out. So if I say jump out at 7, it'll print 0. It'll print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, but not 7. So if I run that, how many lines? Again, if I ask for 10, it will print up to 6. But as soon as the counter gets to 7, then it jumps out. So break can be very useful. The continue statement then is another usage. Continue moves on to the next execution of the loop. So it jumps back to the start of the loop, ignoring any statements further on down the loop. So typically it might be used to skip over some data. Again, if you're processing some data, you might want to ignore anything like where if you're processing bank accounts, you might ignore accounts that are closed. If you're running a game, you might ignore characters that are dead or have left the game. A loop, this count continue allows you to jump back to the top of the loop and start the loop again on the next thing. So here's another version. Looks very similar to the last one, except that rather than having break, we've got continue. So it will never, what does it do? So it's just like before, it prints out this is line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3, and so on. But this one will never print out this is line 3, because what happens when counter equals 3, we've got this continue, so it jumps back to the start of the loop, and then it goes on to the next value of counter, which would be 4. So if I run this one, how many lines? If I say 10, it's going to print out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, but it won't print out 3. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. And if you can see, yeah, you should be able to see that. Okay, so it ignores the rest of the loop when the counter is 3. In this case, the rest of the loop is just printing out the value, but it could be much more complicated. Okay, and there's the example, but with 5 lines, no line 3. So in the next video, we're going to look at nesting loops, one inside the other. And I'm going to finish that one here and carry on.